Namaskar everyone. Today we'll discuss about types of samadhi and the verse number 17 and 18 of chapter 1. So it is all about the Samprajnata Samadhi and Asamprajnata Samadhi. Now let's move to the slides. So in as this verse number 17 says, Vitarka Vichar Anandasmita Rupanugamat Samprajnatah. Now that's very important words in terms of samadhi. See, there are basically four types of samadhi are discussed in this particular words, and these are Vitarka, Vichar, Anand, Asmita. These are the four types of samadhis. And what is the meaning of these? Vitarka, that means based on the gross thought or reasoning. Vichara is nothing but on the subtle thoughts. Ananda is pure bliss, and Asmita is the I-ness, the individuality. Rupa anugamat. Rupa means nature of, the form of, and the anugamat is nothing but whenever these are associated with these four types of samadhi, that is basically called samprajnatah, that is called cognitive absorption or the lower samadhi. As the meaning of this verse is, the deep absorption of attention on an object is of four kinds. Number one is the gross, number second is the subtle, third is the bliss, fourth is the I-ness, and is called Samprajnata Samadhi. Now we'll move to, before understanding these four samadhis, we need to understand the basic act of knowledge. So what is this? This is nothing but this is about the three concepts. Number one is the grahya, second is the grahana, third is the grahatar. Grahya is nothing but the object of knowledge. Grahana is nothing but the instrument of knowledge through which seer is basically seen the object. And the third is the seer itself, that is the grasper. So, what we can see, the grasper, instrument of grasper, and the object which is being grasped. The seer, instrument of seer, and the object which is actually being seen. So why I've written Vitark, Vichara, Ananda and Asmita like this, I'll explain you. But first of all, we need to understand this thing. There is an object of knowledge. Second is there is an instrument of knowledge through which we can see that object, and the person, the thing which is basically looking into the object or using the instrument, that is nothing but the seer or the grasper. Okay, now let's move on to the explanation of these four terms: Vitark, Vichar, Ananda, and Asmita. So, Vitarka is nothing, it is basically based on the gross object. Let me tell you one thing: whenever you pray in front of an any in front of any idol, any image, so to say, so that image, that particular image of any god, that particular image of any symbol is nothing but the vitarka. That means you are concentrating on an particular object. So that is what, based on the gross physical object. And what are the elements of this particular samadhi? This is nothing but the pancha mahabhutas. Whenever the meditation on an object experience as a manifestation or construct of the gross physical or material elements. We'll discuss in further verses about the divine form of Ishvara, Pranava, Om. Om, we can take an example of Om also. See, whenever you are concentrating on that particular symbol Om, that is also called Pranava, that means that particular stage is nothing but the Vitarka stage, Vitarka Samadhi stage. Now, the second is the Vichara. Vichara is one level deeper to the Vitarka. And what it is? It is basically depend on the subtle aspect of the gross thing. Suppose the subtle aspect of the image, the God. That means the you are now concentrating on the characteristic of that particular God. So the object in vichara is nothing but the subtle objects and energy, vibratory, radiant characteristics of God. Say, so to say, if you pray for Krishna, that means at this vichara stage, now you are concentrating on the qualities of the Krishna, characteristics of the Krishna. That means at the element level, now you are concentrating on the subtle elements. These are also called tanmatras. Now the third stage is called the Ananda. Why I have written here grahya to grahana, that is nothing but seen to the instrument of seen, as we have seen the previous slide. Grahya to grahana stage, that means at the grahya stage, whenever you know that the object of knowledge was nothing but the scene, that is vitarka and vichara samadhi basically exist at this level, the object of knowledge. But whenever we talk about the ananda stage, ananda samadhi, in that particular stage the concentration is basically shifting from grahya to instrument of grahya, grasper. That means the object of knowledge to the instrument of knowledge in Ananda stage. So, what is this? Grahya to Grahana. That means mind is focusing on its own cognizing nature. Mind become absorbed on some aspect of instrument of cognition itself. That means that mind is immersed in the sattva, that is called I am blissful, the Ananda stage, Ananda Samadhi, Ananda Samprajnata Samadhi. But again, there is one more deeper level exist, and what is this? This is called Asmita Samadhi. At this Asmita Samadhi level, the concentration is basically shifting from Grahana to Grihita. That means instrument of knowledge to the seer, as you can see in the previous slide, instrument of grasper to the grasper, that is the seer, the subject of knowledge. The whole objective of these stages are nothing but to move your concentration, to move your focus from object of knowledge via instrument to the subject of knowledge. So at this level, I-ness, I am-ness basically exists. Finally, it becomes aware of the Purusha. Purusha is nothing but the seer itself. Chitta contemplates the awareness of the Purusha by means of Purusha's reflection in the pure mirror of Sattvic Chitta. That means at Asmita stage, there is nothing left but the Asmita, I amness. I amness basically exists at this Asmita Samprajnata Samadhi level. But there is a catch. What is this? As I have mentioned here at this last point, this is nothing but this is still in the realm of Prakriti, supported by some connection in Prakriti, because Chitta is still used as an instrument to channel awareness, even though the object of awareness is now Purusha itself rather than any external manifestation of Prakriti. See, the point is, at this level also, whenever you have reached from Vitarka to Asmita, you are still using some sort of Prakriti, some sort of Chitta. That's why Patanjali explained the next level of Samadhi. And what is this? This is nothing but the 18th verse that says the definition of Asamprajnata Samadhi. And what is this? This is this says Virāmapratyayābhyāsapūrvaḥ, Virāmapratyayābhyāsapūrvaḥ saṁskāraśeṣo'nyaḥ. That means at this particular stage, two things are happening. Number one is virama pratyaya. Second is the saṁskāraśeṣo'nyaḥ. That means virama is nothing but the cessation, the stopping, and pratyaya is nothing but the content of mind. Whenever the first thing is happening, the content of mind is being stopped at this level. The second is the saṁskāraśeṣo'nyaḥ. That means the samskaras, the deep impressions remains at this stage. Seshonyaha, that means remains. Abhyasa purvah, practice, by practice. Okay, so at this level, it says Asamprajnata Samadhi is the other type of Samadhi that is preceded by the practice. That means after Samprajnata Samadhi, there, by doing practice, you'll reach to the level of the Asamprajnata Samadhi of stopping. See what is happening here? I said two things are happening. Number one is Virāmapratyaya. That means stopping the mental fluctuations. And the second is the it contains a residue, the seshaha, that means remains of latent impressions are nothing but the samskaras. Now let's understand this. That means samskaras are nothing but is the seed of consciousness which survives up to the state of the samprajnata samadhi. That means till the samprajnata samadhi there are samskaras, but again these samskaras are remains to the asamprajnata level. How? We'll see and we'll understand it through the this image. So what it says is, at number one, whenever you are Vitarka stage, to move from Vitarka stage to the Vichara stage, you need the one stage in between, and that stage is nothing but the Asamprajnata Samadhi. See, the basic meaning behind this is that you cannot move directly from Vitarka to Vichara, Vichara to Ananda, Ananda to Asmita. No, you have to go through the intermediary stage, and that is called Asamprajnata Samadhi, and that is also called transcendental stage. And that's why this Asamprajnata Samadhi is also called the dynamic stage. And what is happening at this stage? Now, let me tell you how. Whenever you are at Vitarka level, you were concentrating on one form of God. Okay? So, to move from Vitarka to Vichara, what you need to do is you need to basically drop that pratyaya, drop that content of mind, drop that form of that God, drop that form of Om, Pranava Om. And what will remain? Samskaras will remain. Then by via this asamprajnata samadhi, you'll reach from Vitarka to Vichara. Now, from Vichara to Ananda, what you need to do is you need to again drop the content of mind which exists at the level of the Vichara. That was the characteristic of that God, characteristic of that form. You'll drop that, and again the samskaras will remain. You'll reach to the Ananda, same Ananda to Asmita. So, hope you have understood this concept that even in upgrading between the stages of the Samprajnata Samadhi, you need to go through the Asamprajnata stage. But Samadhi is not the static stage. This is the dynamic stage. It is basically the transcendental stage. Every time at this stage, what is happening? There is, or we can say, in these four stages, there is a gap in between. And that gap is nothing but the Asamprajnata Samadhi, because in that particular gap, what exactly is happening? You are dropping the pratyaya of the previous stage by having the samskaras. That means at this level, samprajnata samadhi level and a samadhi level, the existence of the samskara will remain. Saṁskāraśeṣo'nyaḥ. Okay. So samprajnata samadhi and samprajnata samadhis are part of the sabij samadhi. Sabij samadhi is nothing but the concept of the samadhi with some content of mind, with some bija. Bija is nothing but the seed. Okay. Beyond this sabij samadhi, there is a stage come which will be described in the 51 verse of this chapter. This is called nirbij samadhi. We'll discuss it later. Okay. Hope you have understood basic difference between samprajnata samadhi and asamprajnata samadhi.